The following is a presentation of the Women's Football Alliance.
The month of May is here, and the games are in full force on the road to Canton. Welcome to the Road to Canton. I'm your host, Brian Sweeney, the voice of the Women's Football Alliance Pro Division National Championship game. Every team in the Pro Division has now played at least one, if not two games, and the live weekly games on the Women's Sports Network are truly a hit. Let's take a look at the Week 2 scores and highlights. Alabama Fire moved to 2-0 after they won on the road against the Atlanta Rage by a score of 30-20. The St. Louis Slam get their second straight shutout, this time 42-0 over the Derby City Dynamite. Arlington Impact moved to 1-1 on the season with a 32-7 loss to the hands of the OKC Lady Force. The Minnesota Vixen didn't let last week's loss keep them down when they beat the Nebraska Pride 55-12. The Dallas Elite Mustangs also placed a notch in the win column when they beat the Zydeco Spice 52-0. The Tampa Bay Inferno opened up their season with a 43-6 victory over the Detroit Venom. And the Boston Renegades also opened up with a convincing 63-6 victory over the DC Divas. In the Women's Sports Network Game of the Week, the Cali War went on to play the Nevada Storm. This game has Cali showing that they are ready to make another run at a national championship, and the Nevada Storm fell apart a little bit early. Alex, your thoughts on this game?
Well, we had the conversation going into last week before these two teams took to the field where we knew how closely contested these Cali War versus Nevada Storm games were. Really, this one wasn't particularly competitive on paper. You look at how Nevada was on offense, you knew that Mo Etchen needed to have a big day, and there needed to be the offensive firepower able to sustain their offense against the Cali War defense. Ultimately, it didn't happen. Cali War was able to take a lead early. Chantel Nino-Wiggins, Brianna Barrett, Ambra Marcucci. The offense was just way too much for Nevada to be able to handle. It was a 28-0 lead at the half for the Cali War before you really started to roll into your bench, and you saw that as well as Tanya Yoreli Guzman, the backup quarterback for the Cali War, now has more yards, more completions, more pass attempts this season than their starter Chantel Nino-Wiggins. Through two games, the Cali War look unbeatable in the Pacific time zone. The question becomes for Cali as they move forward. They have another matchup coming up against Nevada later on this season in a couple of weeks. They also don't play St. Louis, and right now, if you look at the way the power structure is in the American Conference, it'll be Cali and St. Louis, but they don't play each other. Question becomes is that when those playoff teams roll around and when we find out who's in the playoff, is Cali going to be able to build upon their success enough to be able to maintain home field advantage and not have to travel to St. Louis to play in that game? Because realistically, the offense is there for Cali. We've known that from the beginning. Cali War can score more points than just about anybody. We don't know, however, can their defense sustain itself against more of these offensive-minded teams when they play teams like a Minnesota, like a St. Louis, like a team on the other side of the conference bracket in the Boston Renegades. We don't know how Cali is going to do, but so far through 2 weeks, the Cali War figure to be the favorite in the American Conference outside of maybe St. Louis until we see those two teams play each other. But right now, it's all Cali as things go in the American.
Each week, Lois Cook joins us to give us a little behind-the-scenes look at women's football. Sometimes from afar, sometimes from the locker room, but this time, it's a little trivia game with her children in her segment, Low on the Go.
Welcome to Game Night. We are playing a special trivia where I'm going to give you a phrase, a term, or a word, and you have to tell me what it means.
I'm Jackson. I'm Sandro. I'm ready.
The first person to hit the buzzer will be able to answer. Are you ready, fellas?
Yes!
First word is... Oh, wait, hold on, time out.
A first word is time out?
Okay, your first word is fumble? Xander, what is a fumble?
When someone gets the ball and then he falls and then the ball goes up the ground.
Fumble is when you drop the ball. Pancake. All right. Jackson, what does pancake mean?
Maybe when you throw the ball, someone accidentally pops it and
Remy, do you know what is a pancake?
Yes.
What is a pancake?
Somebody eats a pancake, and that's all.
Pancake is when you hit somebody and they fall flat on the floor.
That's what I'm supposed to say.
Mack Truck Monday.
What?
Jackson, what is Mack Truck Monday?
Maybe when someone comes with a shirt on Monday. That was about to say.
Feeling that you get after you have played a competitive football game. Your body is aching and sore and you feel it on Sunday and Monday.
If someone actually has a microwave, if someone actually cook pizza, if someone actually step out of the house, and say what happened? And someone got Nanta, and someone ate it already, and I was saying,
All right, pick six. Jackson, what is a pick six?
a pick six is when you throw a ball, and it goes to 6 times.
Pick six
What
is when the
yes.
quarterback throws the ball, but it is intercepted by a defensive player and she runs it back for a touchdown. Huddle. Jackson, you hit the buzzer first. What is a huddle?
When someone tackles you,
Xander, do you know what a huddle is?
it's when you and your team huddle up into a circle and then plan.
Hail Mary. Xander, what is a Hail Mary?
When someone gets the ball, it throws it and hopes someone else gets it.
That's pretty good. A touchdown. Xander, what is a touchdown?
When you score.
All right. Thank you so much for playing the game with us. We had so much fun and we hope you did too.
We'll be right back. The Women's Football Alliance wants to thank their sponsors. Thank you for your support of the Women's Football Alliance. Welcome back. Here are this week's Pro Division matchups. The 2-0 St. Louis Slammer on the road playing the 2-0 Columbus Chaos of Division 2. The 0-2 Nevada Storm play on the road in a must-win game versus the 0-1 Capital Pioneers of Division 3. The 1-0 Mile High Blaze host the 1-1 Sun City Stealth of Division 2. And in WFA Pro versus Pro games, the 0-2 Detroit Venom are looking to avoid a third straight loss when they welcome the 1-0 Boston Renegades. The 2-0 Cali War have a home opener when they host the 1-1 Arlington Impact. Minnesota, DC, and Alabama are on byes this week. In the first game of the season on the For the Fans network, the 1-1 Dallas Elite Mustangs are on the road against the 1-0 Houston Energy. Alex, these two teams have the grit, but do either of them have the strength to make it all the way to Canton?
The Dallas Elite Mustangs and the Houston Energy are two teams in the WFA that are very familiar with each other. They play a home-and-home series regularly throughout their regular schedule. Last year, however, it was the Division II Houston Energy that defeated the Dallas Elite Mustangs not once, but twice, winning 42-6 and then 42-14, really dominating that season series against Dallas as a lower division opponent. You look at Houston Energy coming into play this season already with a win under their belt at the WFA Pro level. They have some really competitive pieces that make them an interesting player in terms of the WFA Pro playoff picture. In Division II a year ago, this was a team that was the #1 team ranked in terms of yards per game, offensive plays per game, first downs per game. They led basically every category in Division II on the offensive side of the football. Third overall behind Mile High as well in terms of defensive ability, where Houston has really made the jump from Division II up to WFA Pro, and they figure to be in that conversation. Right now, if you look at the Massey ratings, it would be the Houston Energy that would be the last team in the playoffs, but this is an opportunity for them to move up. This is an opportunity for them to show that the Houston Energy are legit, and they do so against a well-established team in the Dallas Elite Mustangs. Offensively, Houston can cruise. They can play with the best. They can do an air raid attack. They can put the ball on the ground. They have a stout offensive and defensive line. And as we've seen so many times, Brian, the football game in the WFA is won on the offensive and defensive lines. If you have someone who's going to be able to make those stops and be able to protect the quarterback or pressure the quarterback, it's going to give your team a better chance for victory. And that's exactly what Houston has on both sides of the football. Now, the Dallas Elite Mustangs, they're an interesting team as well, losing to the Arlington Impact, their crosstown rivals in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but then absolutely demolishing the Zydeco Spice a week ago. I looked at the game film from that game, and when you have the Zydeco Spice putting two running backs in the backfield to try to protect the quarterback and give additional time, and even with those two running backs, you're still giving great offensive looks to go by the wayside because of how much pressure Dallas is throwing in the offense's face. It's going to be a good look for them, especially when they play these tougher teams like Houston, like Arlington across town from them as well, and then as they go into Cali and other matchups that they have the rest of the way. Dallas needs a statement win. They haven't had a statement win for a long time. If you look at the American Conference, the Dallas Elite Mustangs have been one of the teams that has been at the bottom of the American Conference. If they want to assert themselves in the American Conference, a league in the WFA that they dominated for years, winning national championships, scoring points aplenty, they have to do so here against the in-state rival Houston Energy. The big factor that I'm looking at is this: quarterback change for the Dallas Elite Mustangs. Wynn is gone as the quarterback last year. In comes Destiny Hernandez, who played last for the Arlington Impact in a backup quarterback role to D'Angelo Ricks. She has been effective managing that offense. Didn't put the points up against Arlington, but was able to do so in spades against Zydeco a week ago. She needs to be perfect against a Houston Energy defense that will be in her face the entire contest between the Elite Mustangs and the Energy. The Massey ratings favor the Houston Energy in this matchup by about 20 points. So when I look at it on paper, I have to say the Houston Energy figure to be the favorite in this game. And also as well, based on the results that they have already, it should really ferment themselves in a playoff spot in the American Conference coming up here at the end of Week 3.
And we'll be right back.
The Women's Football Alliance wants to thank their sponsors. Thank you for your support of the Women's Football Alliance.
Welcome back. Each year, the teams across the WFA will post links to stream their games live across their social media channels. And of course, each year there are always comments where other entities try to get your information by showing unofficial links to these games. Always remember, the only authentic links will come directly from the teams or the WFA. Never give out your personal information or your credit card to anybody trying to show you a Women's Football Alliance game. Alex, in the second game of the week that will air live on the Women's Sports Network Saturday night, the 1-0 Tampa Bay Inferno are on the road where they will play the 1-0 Pittsburgh Passion. Pittsburgh looked really good 2 weeks ago, and now they have a chance to move up in the Massey ratings.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough ask for them to move any further from where they are in the Massey ratings. Right now in the National Conference, Pittsburgh would be the second-ranked team if the playoffs started today. But The big picture to this matchup is it's a rematch of last year's opening round game between Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay, won by Pittsburgh. Now, it's just a 6-point game, and the Massey ratings coming into this one today suggest that it won't be close. It suggests that Pittsburgh will defeat Tampa by about 20 points. There's a couple of reasons why I think perhaps that this game might not be as widespread as the Massey ratings seem to suggest. Number one, you're still adding some adjustment pieces to the Pittsburgh offense. We talked about in their first game of the week, Alyssa George, the quarterback a year ago, has been replaced and replaced well through one game by Marcelina Chavez. Leads the league in terms of touchdown passes for players who have played in just one game. She leads the league in terms of passing yards across all divisions for players that have played in one game. Jamie Gall of St. Louis exceeds her in that category, but that's only because St. Louis has played 2 games compared to Pittsburgh's 1. You see this great offense that they have. Maria Fatali has been great for Pittsburgh. You look at Chavez as well, just being able to be a dual threat quarterback. That's created some really good opportunities for Pittsburgh in that opening game against the DC Divas. Your hands are going to be a little more full with the Tampa Bay Inferno, but ultimately the offense for Pittsburgh gives me confidence to the fact that they'll be able to maintain their string of success. They started in week 1 against DC and carry that on here into week 3 against Tampa. Now, Tampa Bay is a little bit different. It's the second time that Tampa Bay will take the field this year, defeating the Detroit Venom by a score of 43-6 in their opening matchup last week. A little bit of a period of transition for the Tampa Bay Inferno, where a year ago you had the quarterback, the well-established quarterback, Kim Yvette Shaw, who was the stalwart of that organization. Now you have quarterback controversy, where you have Candace Pistol, who played kicker mostly last year, was the leading kicker in terms of field goal make percentage and extra point make percentage a year ago. Now she's leading this offense for Tampa Bay. That's a pretty big change going from kicker to quarterback. There's also options further down on the bench for the Tampa Bay Inferno in terms of what they want to do passing the ball. Arlo Henderson returns as the National Conference Coach of the Year from last year and figures to put Tampa Bay in a very good position for them to be able to maintain where they were a season ago. The problem with Tampa becomes this. At this point, this is where their schedule gets very tough. They're going to be playing Boston. They're going to be playing Alabama. They're going to be playing Atlanta. These are very difficult teams in their region that ultimately are either going to make their season or break their season. Without having that bye a week ago, now all of a sudden being thrown into the very heart of your schedule this year, it's up for Tampa Bay to show us against a top-ranked defense like Pittsburgh was this year, and as they were against DC to start the season, it's up for Tampa Bay to show us that their offense is still legit. It was a year ago as they were right in the middle of the pack, top 5 in terms of offensive yards per game and points scored. They need to do so again against a very tough, very physical Pittsburgh defensive front. We saw 2 weeks ago what Pittsburgh is able to do to a mismatched offensive line. They dominated that game in the trenches against the DC Divas. Tampa Bay will need to be ready from the opening snap to be able to make sure that their quarterback is protected, has time to throw the football, and will be able to make those plays. If they can match Pittsburgh point for point with the offensive weapons that Pittsburgh has and the questions about Tampa's offense, we'll see. It could be a very close game. It could be a rematch of that playoff game, which was only a 6-point game back last June. So realistically, I look at this, Pittsburgh as the home team, they should be favored to win until any reason why they're proven otherwise. We talked about Boston being the favorite in the National. Pittsburgh appears to be that second place team. But right now, you have teams like Alabama who are up and coming. You have a team like Tampa Bay that certainly doesn't want to be on the road in the opening round of the playoffs. They can really help their position and help their situation out here by picking up a big win against Pittsburgh, but they'll need their quarterback and their offense to be perfect in order to do so.
Last week, we opened up our new email address, roadtocantonshow@gmail.com. Thank you to those of you who have already sent in story ideas and video clips for the show. If you have something you want to share, don't forget to hit send. For Alex Wested and Lois Cook, I'm Brian Sweeney, and we'll see you next week on the Road to Canton.
Thank you for watching the preceding presentation from the Women's Football Alliance.